Good morning, students. Welcome to Success at CA, organized by BoS for your success. And today, for the session, I am CA Karuna Bhansali.
I am CA Tanya Gupta.
So today we'll be taking you through the journey for auditing subject for September examination. तो तान्या आज क्या लेके आए हैं बच्चों के लिए? आज हम सक्सेस एट सी एग्जाम सीरीज 2 जो है उसमें what kind of tips we are going to cover?
Ma'am, in today's session, we will discuss about that how we should present our exam in how we should present in examination, what should be our exam strategy, how to solve our questions, and what is EOM and other various topics. That how we should brush up our skills in auditing.
Okay,
Basically.
so we'll be covering conceptual clarity
Yes,
also,
conceptual
right?
clarity
And
also.
whatever issues students are facing
Right.
before appearing for September examination, if they have any queries, so for that also we will be taking, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So for September 24 examination, Tanya, which are the publications relevant? I hope students have till now studied that, but still.
Ma'am, study material which is applicable for September 2024 is April 2023 edition. And we have RTP revisionary test paper September 2024.
I hope they have used it for brushing up their knowledge and for revision purpose. Yeah.
And we have two mock test papers, July edition and August edition. And then definitely we are having MCQs and case scenarios at our BOS knowledge portal.
Right. So they can practice on BOS knowledge portal, on MCQ practice portal, wherein all MCQs and case scenarios are being uploaded. So after clicking on the correct answer, you can assess your progress, and these MCQs are for your conceptual clarity, right? Integrated case scenarios are definitely application based. For MCQs, they are like some of the MCQs are at very basic level, but in examination you may note that for 15 marks MCQ, all the MCQs will be purely application based. So none of the MCQ will be knowledge based. In the previous, in the old scheme, MCQs were knowledge based as well.
Yes,
right.
In old scheme we have correct, incorrect also, but now we are not having it. And then students can practice their questions from RTP, suggested answers, mock test papers, as we already discussed.
Yeah.
And you can.
So they are having their paper pattern. Right. They have already like suggested answers web hosted for May 24 examination, wherein they can vouch for the paper pattern that what kind of paper will be for September as well, right? In September 24 examination, how many questions will be there? So in previous session for May 24, I remember almost all the students were asking whether correct, incorrect question will be posed or not. So now I think it's very much clear to all the students that yes, correct and incorrect MCQs will not be, correct and incorrect based question will not be forming part of your question paper. And for MCQ also, those who have appeared in May 24 examination, they might have told their friends as well that yes, MCQs are also now application based, right? Wherein you need to remember or link the provision and then you need to conclude or give the correct option, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Students, you can brush up your skills or you can clear your concepts through recorded live lectures, which we are having at our portal. Then in exams, you should use language should be very proper. For attempting the answer, you should use keywords. Ma'am, can you please give us the example of keywords?
I think Anirudh is asking for solving descriptive question of case study. So which format they should follow? And for example, like fact, provision, conclusion can be, yes, you can follow that fact of the case, provision of the provisions, and then interlinking of the provision with the fact of the case. And of course, last but not least, very, very important, conclusion. But do remember, if you are writing only provision, and you're not interlinking it and you're incorrectly concluding, then also it may impact your marks, right? And one more question which generally student ask, whether it is compulsory to write the word to word language which is given in the study material or in the standards on auditing, right? You can write in your own words, you can write in your own language. It is not at all compulsory that you write same word to word, right? But those keywords should be same. For keywords, like for misstatement or for fraud or for opinion, you should not use any other general terms. For that much skill is required, for that specific word should be used, right? So Tanya has already covered in the PPT slide that language should be properly framed, not it should not be vague language. And sometimes what happen, when students come to us and they discuss with us, they are giving correct answer, but we generally ask them to have writing practice. And when they read their answer, right, when we read their answer, the answer is not telling what they are telling. Means they are aware that what is the correct answer, but they're not able to write. That is the reason in previous session also, and now I'm telling each and every student that definitely they should have written practice. So in a day, if you are doing 2 to 3 questions, writing practice, and after writing, you just review that whether you are able to give that required answer. Because sometimes what we do, we write the answer, but we don't read it again. Then we need to, yes, we need to review it, and we need to evaluate what kind of improvements are required. Because when we are orally telling, we are telling correct answer. But when the matter comes of writing the answer, then we are lacking. Because orally you are telling करेक्ट आंसर राइट एंड आपने लिखा कुछ और है, तो मार्क्स कैसे मिलेंगे? जब आपसे डिस्कस हो रहा है, आपने बिल्कुल करेक्ट आंसर बताया है, लिखने में वो चीज नहीं है, तो दैट एक्चुअली need revision, review of your answer from your side. So definitely writing practice is very, very important. And key points which I focused last time also, if the students are doing for 5 to 7 days writing practice, review, and what kind of improvements are required, that also being incorporated, and then we have written second time as well. That practice will make you so, I must say, in examination, you will read the question carefully, because sometimes you skip second part. What is the requirement of that question? So first part you have attempted, but second part is missed out. So that that kind of issue will also not happen. Secondly, what is the question asking, what we are answering, because when we refer the observations or comments which we received from head examination department, that how students have performed in the examination. So those who evaluate the answer sheet, they share their observation. So in that observation, generally it is that students have failed to understand the requirement of the question, what is being asked in the examination. They are failed to understand that they are giving some other irrelevant points rather than required answer. So required and relevant answer are very, very crucial and important points. So when you are doing writing practice, you will be able to understand that yes, what was the requirement of the question, whether we are able to assess it correctly, and we are giving the correct and required answer, right? So writing practice is very, very important. I'm again and again focusing on this. So do writing practice, review it. Okay, so after you review, you will be able to assess your performance level, and you will improvise. And after that, when you will be writing in the examination, you will read the question twice or thrice, you will understand what is the requirement of the question, and you will give required answer. Questions are either knowledge and comprehension based, or application and analysis based, right? So for knowledge and comprehension, you need to write just simple pointers which are being asked in the question. And for application and analysis, yes, what Aniruddha is telling is correct, that for application and analysis, you need to understand, you need to give provisions, you need to give fact of the case, you need to interrelate, and then you need to conclude the same. So these are very, very important parts which should be covered in your answer. For MCQ and case scenario also, you need to either you can directly click on the correct, because if you are able to assess, understand the requirement, and if you are able to immediately link it. Secondly, you can also use elimination method, right? How to attempt the MCQ. She have already showcased the slide that MCQs are such that student need to have good knowledge of the provision and apply the same correctly to the case on hand to choose the correct option. So read the case scenario carefully, read the questions requirement, interlink it with the provisions or standard relevant essay. Then either you can use elimination method, because some of the options are like you can directly eliminate. You can simply eliminate that. That's yes, it cannot be. So you will reach to near about, right? And then every MCQ has 4 options, and all the options are near to each other. So you need to choose the most appropriate answer. And in case scenario, read the case scenario carefully, And whatever MCQ is given, you need to interlink it with the fact of the case. Okay. And you all are aware that these are the compulsory MCQs. No internal or external choice, no negative marking, no reasoning required. So it's very, very easy to score the marks in the MCQ part, right? But just only one practice you should have. You should interlink it with the provisions, right? Hmm. Descriptive case scenario based question, I think we have already explained you. The one very important point is length of the answer. Length of the answer should be according to the marks allocated. But in some of the question, maybe marks are allocated only 3. But the question is asking 3 to 4 pointers. 3 to 4 different things. Then you need to give all the required points which they are asking in the question. You need to give all the required points. Don't think that it is for 3 marks only. If 3 questions we will answer, because in the question, if the 4 requirements are given, different questions, 4 different type of things are being asked, 4 subparts are there, then don't think it is only for 3 marks. Then you need to give all the 4 subparts, right? But if the question is general and they are asking you about the some points or some benefits or some advantage, right? Or key points. So then you need to think that it is for 3 marks. If the points are very small, then you should give 6 points. And if the points are in detail, right, then 3 points. But those 3 points should be complete one, not segregated one. We have divided into 3 parts and we have given it, right? Because for specific points, specific marks are being allocated.
When student is asking how much to write for 5 question marks, and also guide which chapter have to focus more.
Yeah, for 5 marks question, you need to give first of all, so I think for May 24 examination, there was no 5 marks question. And for September also, hopefully there will not be 5 marker. It will be 4 or 3 marker. But yes, it can be 544 also, or 554 also. So for 5 marks, what kind of question is there? If because at intermediate only 2 skill sets are required: knowledge and comprehension and application and analysis. So for knowledge and comprehension, again, required points, if 5 points are there, you need to give 5 points, right? If the question is on the audit of different type of entities, and we are asking about how you will audit that cinema hall or some educational institution, college or school, then you need to give 5 complete points. Okay, 5 complete points. And if the question is specifically asking, like I told you about subparts, then you need to answer all the subparts. Okay. And if the question is application based, then you need to, same method will be applicable. Then there might be more than one provision is applicable. Okay. In that question, it may so happen that essay 560 is also applicable, essay 700 series is also applicable. Okay. Or more than one standards are applicable, or more than 3 provisions are being asked in the question, and you need to conclude also. Okay. So you need to understand the requirement of the question. If you have any specific doubt of like suggested answer or mock test paper or RTP, I can take up that and I can explain you if what is the requirement of the question and how you should cover and how many points you should cover, right?
I mean, is there any important chapter we have to focus?
All the chapters are very, very important. Though I think you all have seen skill-wise weightage. Like for section 1, we are having prescribed weightages 4% to 6%. That is only chapter 1, nature, objective, and scope of audit, right? And in that, we are covering basically essay 200. For if we refer section 2, we are having weightage of 8% to 12%. And what is being covered in that? Risk assessment, audit strategy, audit planning, and audit program. Right. So would you like to elaborate on that? Okay. And the same weightage 8 to 12% is for 4 sections. If you see, for section 2, section 3, section 6, section 7. In section 2, we are having audit strategy, audit planning, essay 300. In section 3 again, we are having essay 315, 320 and overview of essay 330. That is risk assessment and internal control. Again 8 to 12%. Then we are having section 6. In section 6, we are covering chapter In section 6, we are covering completion and review, and weightage is again 8 to 12%. And in that, we are covering SA 560, SA 570, SA 580, and SA 450, right? Right. So these are points. Then we are having again section 7.
We are having section 4.
Section 7. Okay. Section 7 is again 8 to 12%. And in section 7, we are covering audit report. So I think you have in our today's session, you have planned about audit report as well this SA 600 series, SA 500 series, right? And then if we talk of important weightage, then we reach to section 4 and section 8. Section 4 is 12% to 18%, and section 8 is also 12% to 18%. Now, what is covered in section 8? Special feature of audit of different type of entities and audit of banks, right? And in section 4, what we are covering? Audit of various items of financial statements. है ना? No, we are covering audit evidence and audit documentation. And most important, 12% to 20% weightages for audit of item of financial statements, right? So these are total 9 sections, and for 9th section is 8 to 10%, but that is very easy. And in your examination, I think in May 24, there were situations given and you need to identify which fundamental principle is being violated. And in the case scenario based MCQ also, there was a MCQ about threats, which threat is being indicated in the situation. So you should be aware which threat is there, and which fundamental principle is violated, right? So this is important part, Anirudh. I hope I have covered. Yeah. इसमें चैट में तो कोई क्वेरी नहीं. Okay. Fine. So if you have any doubt, you can definitely ask. In the meantime, how to manage time in examination and how to manage time before examination when we are having 2 days break. How to revise? Like in auditing, you are having 11 chapters, right? And what I feel that till now you might have covered one on the complete course and one revision. If it is not, then you should run fast, right? And when you have covered your course, in the previous class also I told you, you prepare your own notes, you mark the questions which are very important for your revision, because the 2 days duration will be very crucial. In that 2 days duration, you need to cover all the important points, key points of all the chapters, along with the questions you have marked, wherein more revisions are covered. That homework I told you to do when you are studying itself. Okay, if you have not done, then also the questions where when you have done writing practice and you are finding difficulty, that question also be noted in your diary. Okay. Yeah, Kiran Bala, I will cover that 5A wala question. Okay. Yeah. So, so how to manage time in examination? You can cover, Tanya. How they can manage 15 minutes duration, where they should decide.
When I was a student, I used to manage 15 minutes by deciding which question I have to attempt first. There is also an internal choice, and out of, as we are aware, that out of 6 questions, we have to attend any 5 questions. Question number 1 is compulsory, and we have to attend any 4 questions out of the 5. So in those 15 minutes, we can, as a student can decide what question they want to leave as a choice, and also make a sequence of questions you are going to attempt first. So attempt the question you know the best first, and then decide the sequence. In those 15 minutes, you can decide the sequence, because you don't get MCQ question paper, you get that after 2 only. So in 15 minutes, you can optimum utilization of questions, that what questions you are going to attempt and what should be the sequence of the questions you are going to attempt.
You know, Tanya, when I went for my first examination final level, after reading the question paper, I felt that I don't know. looking at some of the questions which were very tricky and crucial, I felt I don't know anything and I should go back to home. It was so my anxiety level was so high. But the rule was 1 hour we need to spend there. So in that 1 hour's duration, because it was compulsory to sit there, I read and read the question again and again. Then I started writing. And you will not believe I was able to complete the whole question paper. So my personal experience, which I have faced, I would like to share with you. The paper is always balanced one. It will never be very easy or will never be very difficult. Sometimes the questions are maybe their language is difficult one or tricky, but when you are calm and composed and you read the question twice or thrice, you will be able to understand the requirement of the question and you will definitely be able to give the required answer. So it is very, very important that you read the question and don't get panic. Try to take long, deep breath. If you are doing meditation or exercising or you are having any hobby which you are regularly following, you are taking full sleep, and if you are able to manage that, then in the examination also, when you will feel that yes, this because it's average, it's always mixture of the question. Some questions are always tricky, right? But it will never happen that whole 60 marks or 70 marks paper is so tricky that you are not able to write. So then you need to balance yourself, you need to manage the time, and you start the question which you know the best. Okay, that will give you confidence. Of course, time management is very, very important. And when you will start attending the question, you will feel that yes, I'm able to, right? So if you have done writing practice and if you have done reading practice, because question you are able to read twice or thrice and identify the requirement, you will definitely be able to write. So manage your time, be balanced, because question paper is not always very easy or not very tricky. So you need to maintain your balance, control your anxiety level, take long deep breath and try attending the paper, right? Yeah. And this 15 minutes time, I am Tanya madam has already told you that in the 15 minutes duration, you need to read the question paper very fastly so that you can select the question, which one you are going to appear for, which you are going to attempt first. Okay. And you have already in the mind, you have marked the questions that yes, first I will be attempting this one because I know best. Second, third, you can decide your hierarchy. You can allocate specific time, how many minutes you will be allocating for that question. And this practice, if you have attempted mock test paper, series 1, 2, and try to apply these tips, you will definitely be able to do that in the main examination finally, September 24, wherein you will be attempting this examination. Yeah.
MTP question.
Okay, nice. First, we need to take MTP2 question 5A. Kiran Bala, that question is very, very simple. That question is talking about section 143.1. Let's go to that question. Yes, Anirudh. ICAI module question, RTP, MTP. Yes, these are enough. Only thing is, if you have done writing practice, you are able to understand the requirement of the question and you are able to give required answer. That is more than sufficient. Writing practice is very important, because what we are saying, if we are not able to write that part, when we are doing writing communication, that part is missing, something is lacking, then our marks are less. Yeah. Kiran Bala, this is for you. Section 143.1 of the Companies Act. I am taking right question, no? 5A you are asking. It's very, very simple question, and it is knowledge and comprehension based question. And for auditor, it is very important section. Section 143, wherein powers, duties, and report part Everything is covered in section 143. So 143, one of the Companies Act 2013 states that every auditor of a company shall have access to books of accounts and vouchers of company and shall be entitled to require from officers of company such information and explanation as considered necessary and shall inquire into certain matters. Now what we are doing, we have discussed one of the point of section 143(1). Okay, so section 143(1) talks about certain matters which auditor is required to inquire, right? So this is one of the matter that yes, every auditor of a company shall have access to books of accounts. So now we need to give all the matters which are covered in section 143(1). So in that we are having first point that yes, whether loans and advances made by the company on the basis of the security have been properly secured, right? So loans and advances are properly secured, and whether the terms of which they have been made are prejudicial to the interest of the company or its member. Means जो loans and advances दिए हैं वो properly secured है. On the basis of security, if you have given loans and advances, that is, you need to check that yes, whether it is properly secured. And second, the terms which are on which loan is being given or advance is being given have been made are in the interest of company or member. They need to inquire whether it is not prejudicial, whether it is prejudicial or not prejudicial to the interest of the company or its member. Secondly, whether transactions of the company which are represented merely by a company entries are prejudicial to the interest of the company. So whether transactions of the company, right? So transactions of the company which are represented merely by book entry. The transactions which are only represented by book entry are prejudicial to the interest of the company. So here auditor is required to inquire. Specifically, you see in 1 and 2, both prejudicial to the interest of the company, prejudicial to the interest of the company, right? So in first, loans and advances which were given on the basis of security are properly secured. Secondly, terms and conditions on which loans and advances were given have been made up according to that. Then second is transactions which are represented merely by entry. Okay, book entry are prejudicial to the interest of the company. Whether the company not being an investment company, that company is not banking company, not investment company, whether so much of the asset of the company has consist of share, debentures and other securities have been sold at a price less than that at which they were purchased sorry by the company. Means company which is not investment company, not bank company. So they need to check whether so much of asset of the company which are in the form of shares or debentures and other security, whether they are being sold at a price less than at which they were purchased. Means I have purchased at 100 rupees and I am selling it on 80 rupees. So that also need to be checked, because so much of the asset are in form of shares, debentures or security, other securities. So we need to check at the amount we have purchased whether we are selling at amount which is less than the cost. Right. Whether loans and advances made by the company have been shown as deposits. So loan and advances are shown as deposits or not, that also auditor is required to inquire. Whether personal expenses have been charged to revenue account. The personal expenses should never be charged to revenue account. So that also need to be inquired by the auditor. And last, whether it is stated in the books and documents of the company that any shares have been allotted for cash, whether cash has actually been received in respect of such allotment, and if no cash has actually been so received, whether the position as stated in the account books and the balance sheet is correct, regular and not misleading. So these are basic matters which an auditor is required to inquire in accordance with section 143(1) of the Companies Act 2013, right? So in this situation, one of the condition was given, but specifically the question is asking, state those matters to be inquired as per section 143(1) 2013. Okay. Kiran Bala, your doubt is clear? Kiran Bala? Yeah. Any other doubt?
Is the video clear or not? Because one student is writing that he is not able to, able to access Zoom or video is not clear.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. So now, Tanya madam, I think we have given general, we have solved the general queries, which are generally asked. And this was knowledge and comprehension based question, right? And now this is, I think, covered in our chapter audit reporting, right?
Right.
है ना? So, are you all aware, well versed when we are talking about audit opinion? How many types of opinions are there? What is the difference between the opinion? Hmm? So, Tanya madam, would you like to draw some? Yeah.
They are saying that they are mute, so
Okay, no
no
problem.
problem.
You can write in the chat, no problem.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Ma'am, we have two types basically opinion, unmodified opinion, and then we have modified opinion.
okay.
Then modified opinion is subdivided into three parts: qualified opinion, adverse opinion, and disclaimer opinion. So basically, in exams at intermediate level, there can be a question like, what is unmodified opinion, or what are the types of opinion? Explain the types of opinion. So you should write what is unmodified opinion, modified opinion. Then student, what is unmodified opinion?
So I also felt yes, you can, if you can give just yeah, brief.
Ma'am, unmodified opinion is an audit opinion where financial statements in all material respect are in accordance with applicable FRS. बेसिकली मीन्स फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क, मतलब जो भी हमारे लॉज कहते हैं, हमारे स्टैंडर्ड्स कहते हैं, जो भी अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स कहते हैं, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट उन्हीं के अकॉर्डिंग बनी हुई है, उसमें कुछ भी मिस्टेक नहीं है. सब कंपनी ने बहुत अच्छे से फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाए हैं, सारे डिस्क्लोजर्स करे हैं. तो ऑडिटर अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन देता है. अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन मीन्स क्लीन ओपिनियन.
You mean to say that the auditor shall express an unmodified opinion. So first he need to conclude that yes, the financial statements of which he is pursuing audit are prepared in all material respect. Means whatever is the requirement as per the applicable financial reporting framework, maybe Ind AS or AS, or as per other reporting framework, maybe Companies Act or any law and regulation. So these are in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework, and the financial statements are prepared in accordance with the material respect. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There is no material misstatement.
So there is no material misstatement. Very, very important word. Right? Yeah.
Then we have modified opinion.
Now move to previous slide once again. One more previous. Yeah. So ma'am has explained first thing types of opinion. One is unmodified, second one is modified. And she explained that auditor can issue unmodified opinion when auditor conclude that financial statements are
free from material
misstatement, and these are prepared in accordance with financial reporting framework. Now when we talk about modified opinion,
Yes,
in modified opinion, which standard is applicable? Students, can you write in the chat which standard will be applicable for this modified opinion? Yeah.
You can unmute yourself.
Now you can unmute and you can tell. Yes, Saurabh, you are very right. Naman, right? Yes. HP, I don't know who is in the name of HP. Elendula Chandu, yes, you are right. You all have rightly concluded that this is SA 705. And modified opinion are again divided into three types of opinion. One is qualified, adverse, and disclaimer of opinion. Right? Qualified, adverse, and disclaimer of opinion. Now, Tanya madam, can you tell when we will be issuing qualified opinion and when we will be going to issue adverse opinion?
Ma'am, we issue modified opinion in two situations only. when the auditor is able to obtain audit evidence, but financial statements are not free from material misstatement.
It means audit evidence.
We have audit evidence, but not free from material misstatement.
Obtained or not?
Yes.
If obtained, then opinion will be either modified mein we will be having qualified or adverse. If it is not obtained,
then we have disclaimer.
Then we will be having disclaimer of opinion.
Right. In qualified opinion, we are in modified opinion, we have a two situation, as ma'am said, that whether audit evidences are obtained or not. If audit evidences are obtained and we can conclude that financial statements are not free from material misstatement, then we will issue modified opinion. And in case we have not able to obtain sufficient and audit evidence, and we can conclude that yes, there are no misstatement, then we issue modify opinion.
So two important points. One was audit evidence obtained
or not.
Second point is you need to check whether it is free from material misstatement. If material misstatement is there, then we need to check.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
If material misstatement is there, it is not pervasive, then we issue modify opinion.
And whenever we are talking about audit evidence, please remember sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, because that audit evidence should be sufficient. It should not be only one evidence. Okay, so that should be sufficient and appropriate. It should not be like evidence is there, but it is pertaining to some other thing, and we are auditing of some other item.
Right. Then in modified opinion, we issue qualified opinion. Qualified opinion is when the auditor is able to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence and concludes that material misstatement is there. Material misstatement is there, but it is not pervasive. The main keyword over here is material misstatement is there, but it is not pervasive. Ma'am, what is pervasive?
Because then now you need to remember what is audit. You need to check whether sufficient and appropriate audit evidence are available or not. Second is you need to check material misstatement. Okay. Then third important term we are talking about is pervasive. What is pervasive? Already she had shown you the definition. Pervasive is a term used in the context of misstatement to describe the effect on financial statement, whether it is little bit or it is right. So you need to check effect on the financial statement of misstatement or the possible effect on the financial statement of misstatements, if any, that are undetected due to inability to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So you need to check whether it is pervasive or not, because that will decide what kind of opinion you are going to express. So for pervasive also, there are three conditions which are given. Pervasive effect on the financial statement are those that in the auditor's judgment are not confined to specific elements. It should not be only for one thing or for any specific thing. If so confined, represent or could represent a substantial proportion of the financial statement. So it's already being highlighted, substantial proportion, right? Not confined to specific element. It should, if so confined, represent or could represent a substantial proportion of the financial statement. Third one is in relation to disclosure are fundamental to user understanding of the financial statement. If we talk of disclosure, it is fundamental to users understanding, very, very important. So first you need to check sufficient appropriate audit evidence are there. Secondly, you need to check that material misstatement is there or not. If it is, then whether it is pervasive or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So if auditor has obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, and he can conclude that there is a material misstatement, but it is not pervasive, then auditor will issue qualified opinion. And there is also one case where auditor is unable to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, and he can conclude that material misstatement could be there, but it would not be pervasive. Means in qualified opinion, there is a chance that auditor has received audit evidence and auditor has not received audit evidence. But in both the cases, there is a chance that there is a material misstatement, but not pervasive. In the case of not pervasive, we will issue qualified opinion. And these 2 points are subdivided. Other means in adverse opinion, we take the first situation that auditor has obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence and concludes that there are
I hope you all are aware with the word misstatement. What is misstatement? Yes. Because pervasive we have already covered. Now, what is misstatement?
Misstatement is a difference between amounts, classification, presentation, or disclosure of a financial statements which are reported by the client, and that he should be reported as per the applicable FRF. Means मिसस्टेटमेंट वो होता है जिसमें जो ऑडिटर मतलब क्लाइंट ने अपने फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्ट्स में फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में दिखाया है, जो उसे अमाउंट जो उसको दिखाना चाहिए था लेकिन उसने वो नहीं दिखाया, गलत अमाउंट दिखा दिया है, उसे डायरेक्ट एक्सपेंस में दिखाना चाहिए था, दिखा दिया इनडायरेक्ट एक्सपेंस में, क्लासिफिकेशन गलत कर दिया है, प्रेजेंटेशन गलत कर दिया है. तो मिसस्टेटमेंट इज दैट वो गलती से भी हो सकता है और जानबूझकर भी हो सकता है. मीन्स इट कैन बी एरर और इट कैन बी अ फ्रॉड. इंटेंशनली भी हो सकता है मिसस्टेटमेंट और गलती से भी हो सकता है, तो एरर भी हो सकता है, फ्रॉड भी हो सकता है. तो मिसस्टेटमेंट इज व्हाट ही is required to report and what he has actually reported. That is a misstatement.
Not reported, what is being shown. Yeah.
Sorry, disclosed.
Because reporting will be done by the auditor. Right. Yeah. So it is from the management point of view that what should be in the financial statement and what is being showcased in the financial statement items. Yeah.
Yeah. So in adverse opinion, auditor express an adverse opinion when auditor have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence and concludes that material misstatements are there. They are material and pervasive.
इसका मतलब auditor is required to check that whether it is material or material and pervasive. Now, what will happen? If it is material but not pervasive, then how we will proceed?
Ma'am, let's ask student whether they have understood.
Students, you can give me answer because we have already discussed 3 important terms. One was audit evidence obtained or not, right? And now audit evidence are obtained. If obtained, then we are having 2 options, qualified or adverse opinion, right? For qualified and adverse also we need to check whether it is material or pervasive, right? If it is material but not pervasive, then what will be the... Yes, Videsh is right, Saurav is right.
It will be qualified.
Yeah, Kiran. It will be qualified opinion. But if both, if it is material also and pervasive also.
And then disclaimer.
Adverse
opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now we are talking only about 2 opinions, adverse and qualified. Okay. So Saurav is right. Yes, it will be adverse opinion. Chandu is also right, and Pranav is also right that it will be qualified opinion. So it is very, very important you check that when we have obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence, whether it is material and pervasive. If it is material but not pervasive, means it's not impacting major part of the financial statements, then we will give qualified opinion. We will issue qualification. But when we see it is material as well as pervasive, right? So material misstatement is also there and pervasiveness is also there, then we will issue adverse opinion because it's impacting major part of financial statements. Then we will be issuing adverse opinion. Yes, right. Pranav. Right. So I think you have covered in a form of table also, yes. But I think they have rightly understood. Now next part is, as we have discussed, sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Yeah. If we have obtained or whether we are not able to get it.
Right.
If fire has been occurred and all the files are destroyed in the fire, and now the auditor is not able to verify.
Yes.
And not able to audit that relevant part, then what auditor will do? Whether he can give qualified or adverse opinion? No, he will give disclaimer of opinion. What is disclaimer of opinion means? That he is not able to express his opinion on that part because he is not provided with the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, right?
And and he can identify, he can conclude that the misstatement can be material and pervasive. Then he will disclaim his opinion.
So opinion can be expressed when you are having sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. If you are not having sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, you will not be able to express your opinion, right? And when you are having sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, you will check whether it is material and pervasive or whether it is not. Okay, so when you are able to ensure that this is material but not pervasive, then you will go for qualified opinion. And when you are able to finalize, conclude that yes, it is material as well as pervasive, you will definitely be expressing adverse opinion. But in any of the case, if you are not able to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, means you are not having audit evidence with you, you are not able to access that documents or that record, you will not be expressing an opinion because you are not having that audit evidence. You are not being provided with the records or you are not able to audit that. Then you will give disclaimer of opinion for that particular part. That yes, since due to this, we are not able to access the audit evidence, and that is the reason disclaimer of opinion is being given. For your intermediate level, we are having only knowledge and comprehension. A small chart is being prepared by Tanya madam.
There can be a situation जहाँ पे हमारे पास audit evidences होते हैं but limitation of scope लगा देते हैं clients. Then also we disclaim our opinion कि हम opinion express ही नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, है ना? There can be a situation where auditor has obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence and it is not possible for him to form an opinion on the financial statement due to potential interaction of uncertainty.
That is the reason I gave you example that fire or some income tax raid or some they have taken your documents and now you are not having records.
Right.
So in that case, you are not having any option for expressing the opinion. Then you need to go for disclaimer of opinion also, right? So this is, and now we have in SA 700. Content of audit report is being given, that what should be the format and what is the objective of audit report. In SA 701, we discuss about key audit matter. And in SA 705, we talk about modified opinions, right? And we are having one more essay, that is SA 706. है ना? और क्या है उसमें? कुछ matters discuss करते हैं हम. कौन से matters? Yeah. So before moving towards our query, we are having in chat also we are having one query from the student Vinny, and Vishwajit is asking, can you give example? Vishwajit, are you able to understand now, or you can tell me now if you need more example for any you can specify. Yeah. And Vinny, the important topic if we talk is audit of various items of financial statement. It's very important and very easy chapter. Don't be afraid looking at the bulkiness of the topic, so you can cover that also. And it really matters that how you are prepared, whether you are able to remember, you are able to write the required answer. Yeah, Saurabh, you have already rightly said CSA 706. We will definitely take into it. But then before that, we are having some more queries. That is, yeah, Pranav, whenever batch will commence, website pe, there will be an announcement. You can regularly visit the announcement and you will get the information for that. Anirudh, audit of financial statements, cutoff, existence, valuation, assertions, and how to revise chapter 5. So first, try to understand, we are having our financial statements. It's divided into two parts, income statement and balance sheet. For income statement, which are the assertions? Important. Can you tell? Which are the assertions we check for income statements?
Everyone please write.
You can write in the chat. It will help you as well as me because it will be more interactive. Yes, occurrence. Correct. Now, what is occurrence? What is occurrence?
Purchase has occurred.
Yeah. No, you can write in the chat, Kiran, right?
Okay.
So for income statement, occurrence is there. Now, what is income statement? Trading and P&L जो हम बनाते हैं, that is particularly for a definite period, because accounting is a continuous process, right? अगर हमें प्रॉफिट और लॉस निकालना है तो वो तो अभी हमने बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया है, उसका हम कंक्लूड कब कर पाएंगे, जब पूरा बिजनेस खत्म हो जाएगा, है ना, जब एट द एंड कभी जब हमारा बिजनेस ओवर हो जाएगा, देन ओनली विल बी एबल टू असेस कितना प्रॉफिट हुआ, लॉस हुआ, क्या सिचुएशन है। बट देन हमें हर एक मतलब because we need to compare, we need to check what is our progress, so we prepare our financial statements every year or on periodic basis. So for that periodic particular maybe 6 months or 12 months, in India generally we follow 1st April to 31st March, right? So for that 12 months time period, we need to check that in income statement which transaction should be recorded. So first thing हम क्या करते हैं, उसमें चेक करते हैं कि वो ट्रांजेक्शन हुआ या नहीं हुआ। इनकम स्टेटमेंट में जो भी ट्रांजेक्शन आते हैं, यू नीड टू चेक वेदर दैट ट्रांजेक्शन आर occurred or not. Second cheese, they are related to that entity. Whether that transaction, because these common points which I am going to tell you in the examination, if you are having any item of income or expenditure, you can interlink it and you can write your answer. I will also interlink it with example, right? So for income statement, right, we will check occurrence, that is transaction recorded in the financial statement have occurred and relate to the entity. So first thing is whether it is occurred, and aisa nahi hai na ki we are talking about A limited but the transaction is happen in B limited, so whether we will record, no, we need to check whether it is pertaining to A limited, so it should be relating to that entity and we need to check whether the transaction is being occurred. theek hai. Then second thing is completeness. Okay, all transactions that were supposed to be recorded have been recognized in the financial statement. Any transaction is not being omitted. If we have paid salary, if we have paid wages, if we have paid for employee benefit expenses, right? So that is completely recorded in the financial statements. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम भूल गए. There should not be omission. तो पहली चीज क्या हुई कि आपने सैलरी दी है. If we talk about salary or any other expenses, you can talk printing and stationery. So first thing is whether आपने printing and stationery पे expenses किए हैं. तो occurrence is very important. सेकेंड चीज उस एंटिटी में ही हुए हो. ऐसा नहीं है कि तान्या मैडम कोई खर्चा कर रही है और करुणा मैडम अपने बुक्स में लिख रही है. ठीक है, इट शुड बी पर्टेनिंग टू मी, माय फर्म, राइट. देन सेकेंड चीज आप क्या देखोगे कि कंप्लीटली उसको रिकॉर्ड किया है या नहीं किया है. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि बिल्कुल मिस कर दिया, ओमिशन नहीं होना चाहिए. तो कंप्लीटनेस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड थर्ड इज कट ऑफ. एज आई टोल्ड यू दैट अकाउंटिंग इज अ कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस, आगे तक भी चलता रहेगा. लेकिन हमें क्या देखना है कि दिस 1 अप्रैल से लेके 31 मार्च, 1 अप्रैल 23 से 31 मार्च 24 और 1 अप्रैल 24 से 31 मार्च 25, कोई भी डेफिनेट पीरियड जो है हमें उसी को कंसीडर करना है. तो हमारे जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स है और P&L, it should be comprising of that specific 12 months only. आपने जब बैलेंस शीट इनकम ट्रेडिंग एंड P&L अकाउंट बनाया होगा तो आपने देखा होगा आउटस्टैंडिंग एक्सपेंसेस को हम ऐड करते हैं, प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस को लेस कर देते हैं, है ना. इसका मतलब उस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड से रिलेटेड जो है उसको हम उस पीरियड में दिखाते हैं, और जो पहले का हम अगले साल का है उसको जो कि हमने एडवांस में पे कर दिया उसको हम क्या करते हैं, डिडक्ट कर देते हैं. या कोई जो इस साल से रिलेटेड है पिछले साल में प्रीपेड हो गया था उसको हम फिर से क्या करते हैं, ऐड करते हैं. इसका मतलब हम उस पर्टिकुलर 12 मंथ्स की बात करते हैं. मीन्स 1 अप्रैल से 31 मार्च. व्हाट इफ अगर हमने इस 1 अप्रैल वाले पीरियड के लिए एडवांस में ही फरवरी में ही दे दिया था, तो वो भी आपके इस पीरियड में कंसिडर होगा. इसका मतलब आपको वो 12 मंथ्स के ट्रांजेक्शन्स को कंसिडर करना है. तो कट ऑफ का मतलब योर टाइम पीरियड इज, you have already decided the time period, or for that time period income and expenses are reported in the current accounting period. अगर मैं बात कर रही हूं 1 अप्रैल 24 से 31 मार्च 25 के लिए, और 1 अप्रैल 24 से लेके अप्रैल मई जून 3 महीने की सैलरी अगर मैंने फरवरी 24 में दे दी, तो वो फरवरी वाले ईयर में जाएगा क्या? Whether it will be considered in February 24? No. For that accounting period, it will not be considered, and it will be considered in 1 April 24 to 31 March 24. 5. Clear? So yes, we consider accrual basis, right, Saurabh? So cut-off assertion is basically telling you that those expenditure or those income which are pertaining to that particular accounting period should be covered in that financial statement only. You need to check whether ऐसा तो नहीं है कि पिछले साल का एक्सपेंडिचर या इनकम इस साल में हम दिखा रहे हैं या अगले साल से रिलेटेड हमारे इस साल में आ रहा है. तो we need to ensure that for the income and expenses which are reported, it should be reported in the current accounting period. That is cut-off assertion. I hope it is clear. If it is not, you can stop me or you can write also. Yes, Anirudh, are you able to get it? The next is measurement. Now transactions have been recorded accurately at their appropriate amount. Means whatever amount is there, it should be accurately. Its measurement should be the amount which should be reported is shown in the financial statement, and there have been no error while preparing documents or in posting transactions to ledger. Figures and explanation are not misstated. I hope it is clear. It's very important topic. Its weightage is 12% to 20%. I hope you understand. And when you are writing in the examination, it may be pertaining to any of the item of the income and expenses statement. You can write these points, that occurrence, you can interlink it with completeness, cutoff, measurement means it's correctly measured. You have mentioned appropriate amount, and presentation and disclosure. Last but very important, presentation and disclosure. It means transactions are classified and presented fairly in the financial statements. They are complete and accurate. So you need to check whether they are disclosed in accordance with the Schedule 3 requirement and completely and accurately. Okay. So this way you can interlink it with any of the expenditure or any of the income. First thing you need to check whether it has occurred or not. If it is occurred, then you need to check that it is not omitted. It means it's appearing, it's complete. Okay, so completeness assertion. Then cut off, you need to check whether it is pertaining to 12 months, that particular 12 months. So you need to check whether all income and expenses are reported in the correct accounting period, because cutoff is a separate assertion. Because the substantive procedure to verify it are typically different from those applied to the other component of completeness. Then we are having measurement. It means properly with appropriate amount we have disclosed it. And last, presentation and disclosure. Okay. So total 5 assertions. OCCMPD: occurrence, completeness, cutoff, measurement, presentation and disclosure. फर्स्ट थिंग अकर हुआ है, उसी एंटिटी से रिलेटेड है. सेकंड, ओमिशन तो नहीं हो गया, रिकॉर्ड किया है. थर्ड, कट ऑफ मतलब उस पर्टिकुलर अकाउंटिंग पीरियड से रिलेटेड है. फोर्थ इज मेजरमेंट, उसकी अमाउंट जो है वो करेक्टली मेजर करके प्रेजेंट की है. लास्ट इज प्रेजेंटेशन एंड डिस्क्लोजर, मीन्स उसका प्रेजेंटेशन जो है वो फेयर प्रेजेंटेशन है, कंप्लीट है, एक्यूरेट एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू शेड्यूल 3 complies, it is disclosed. Right? So Anirudh, it is clear. So now whether you all want to understand that financial balance sheet part also, or I should move to remaining topic. So this way we have covered income and expenses statement, right? And second, yeah, balance sheet part also we did. In balance sheet we are having how many assertions? बैलेंस शीट थोड़ा बड़ा है ना. तो 6 assertions है. Existence, completeness, cut off, valuation, rights and obligation and presentation and disclosure. ठीक है. ECC वहां पे भी क्या था? OCC. यहाँ पे है ECC. वहां मेजरमेंट होता था, यहाँ वैल्यूएशन होता है. वैल्यूएशन है, देन आपका एक एडिशनल आ गया, राइट्स एंड ऑब्लिगेशन, and last is same presentation and disclosure. Now for income and expenses we need to check whether it is occurred or not. But for financial statements, for balance sheet में क्या होता है हमारा आइटम? एसेट्स या लाइबिलिटीज, है ना. तो वो एसेट और लाइबिलिटीज है या नहीं है, whether it exists or not. So existence is very very important whether that asset really exists or whether that liability is existing or not. If inventory which are recognized in the financial statement, in the balance sheet, or property, plant and equipment, whether it exists or not. Okay? So first thing, you will check whether it is in existence. Second thing is completeness, means whatever assets, liabilities and equity balances were supposed to be recorded, these are not omitted. These are recognized in the financial statements. So all the assets which are pertaining to my firm, which are pertaining to that particular company of which we are doing audit, that should be shown in the balance sheet, shown in the financial statement. So all assets, liabilities and equity, everything should be recorded. So second one was completeness, that is same for आपका जो income and expenses statement and for balance sheet. For both it is same. For income and expenses, first one was occurrence, because income or expenditure will, transactions will occur. सैलरी आपने पे किया, प्रिंटिंग स्टेशनरी के लिए आपने पे किया, परचेज किया, सेल्स किया. So these transactions are being occurred, right? In balance sheet, what we show? Assets, liabilities. So whether that asset is with us, if I am having property, plant and equipment, if I am having machinery, if I am having land and building, if I am having cash, my trade receivables, so these are my assets. So whether they are in existence, liabilities, term loans, debentures, so whatever, or equity share capital. So I need to check whether they are in existence. If they are in existence, then second point is same for income and expenses statement as well as for balance sheet, that is completeness, means it's covered in financial statements. We have not omitted to record the same. Third one is again same, cutoff. There was OCC, here it is ECC. Cutoff means assets and liabilities are reported in the appropriate period. It should never happen that last year I purchased one machinery and I am recording that in current accounting period. So that particular accounting period should be taken care. So all assets and liabilities are recorded in the appropriate period. For income and expenses also it was same, that it is recorded in the current accounting period. And for financial statement also it is same, that all assets and liabilities are reported in the appropriate period or current accounting period, right? For valuation, for that income and expenses we were having measurement. For assets we are having valuation. We need to do valuation because what we used to do for debtors, we used to do provision for doubtful debts, right? For assets we used to deduct depreciation. So valuation is correct or not, whether assets and liabilities and equity balance are valued appropriately, means the amount at which they should be recorded are recorded, they are correctly recorded. So that is called valuation. Now again, difference was in income and expenses statement, the word used was measurement, whether the income and expenses transactions were measured accurately at their appropriate amount. Okay, so that was measurement. And here what we are covering? Valuation, because for assets or liabilities we need to do valuation, not measurement. And one additional assertion for balance sheet item is rights and obligations. If you are showing in balance sheet land, then you should have its legal title deed. Okay, if you are talking about some property, plant and equipment, then also you should have proper bill. You are able to showcase that yes, we are having ownership of that particular asset, or if we are entitled to pay, then we should have such documents that yes, this is our obligation, we need to repay this term loan, or we need to pay that trade creditor or trade payables. So that is our right and obligation. For asset, we need to check rights, and for liabilities, we need to check obligation, right? So last one is same, presentation and disclosure. It means whether your assets and liabilities are and equity are presented properly, right? Classified, described and disclosed. Then second thing is it is showcased properly and it is, then disclose properly, and then presentation is according to the requirement of schedule 3. So here you need to know what is the requirement of schedule 3. In verifying existence, would not they check title deed? Will they just see the asset? Yes, you need to check whether asset is in existence or not, whether that property, plant and equipment is there or not. In rights and obligation, you will check whether they are having legal title deed, or whether they are having proper bills. If they have own loan, so they need to check in right and obligation. For existence, they just need to check whether that asset is, or liability or equity balance exist at the period end, because we prepared balance sheet at the end, as on 31st March. And income and expenses statement is for the period.
During the period.
You will see the title is for the period. Okay.
And there is one query. Should we learn specific provisions for a particular assertions? For example, completeness, existence, accuracy, valuation, right, and obligation, presentation, disclosure.
I am session. I am not able to understand, but yes, for items which you show in income and expenditure account, you need to show the procedures, that is occurrence, completeness, cutoff, measurement, and presentation and disclosure. And if we are talking about assets and liabilities, if we are talking about equity balance, then we need to have existence, completeness, cutoff. In place of measurement, it will be valuation, then rights and obligation, and presentation and disclosure. Okay, so this is the beginning of the chapter. And generally in the examination, either the question is being asked for particular item, then if you see the chapter is so vast, so bulky. So why it is so vast or bulky? Because when we talk about some particular item, then we are also covering schedule 3 requirement. So if you feel it is very bulky, then you can directly download the schedule 3 and you can read what is the presentation requirement. And in accounting also, I think you are following schedule 3. So that is not very difficult. So this chapter is 12% to 20% weightage. And if you are aware of assertions for income and expenditure statement, for balance sheet, if they are asking about advances, or if they are asking about property, plant and equipment, or land and building, you need to interlink it with the assertions. And then last one is presentation and disclosure. Okay, so for that you need to give reference of schedule 3. So that part you need to. How will they see liabilities to verify existence? For liabilities, if you have taken any loan, whether it is secured or unsecured. If it is secured, then you must be having security. Auditor is required to check whether it is properly secured or not. If it is in creditors, they might have, we have purchased some inventory. Okay. Or why creditors are there? If we have purchased something like maybe asset or something, inventory, or okay, or then if that person is creditor, then we are having that in we can check it with from the bills. And if we have taken term loan for liabilities, if it is from bank, short term loan, long term loan, then for loans also we are having all the documents in our file. So you need to check PES for obligation, how whether this liability exists or not. Because sometimes what happen in the fake balance, if sometimes fake liabilities are also shown, or fake assets are shown to misguide the stakeholders. So that is the reason role of auditor is very crucial and important, because on the basis of that audit report and audited financial statement, people used to invest. Yeah. किसने पूछा?
I think Sachin is asking ki, should we learn specific procedures for a particular assertions, like for disclosures we are given.
Only for disclosure you need to give, because for rest of the things you can directly write the assertion. For only like and only I told you that for specifically presentation and disclosure you need to refer schedule 3. Otherwise you can interlink it with. Okay, if you see in the chapter, if we talk about liabilities, all borrowings on the balance sheet represent valid claim by bank or other third party. So first, what we will check, we will review for existence. What kind of review you can do? What kind of audit procedure you will do? For existence, how you will check? You will review either board minutes, or you will ensure that any loan agreement is there, or bonds are issued. So then you will check the issuance, right? So you need to interlink it, or then you will see that detail of loan which is recorded, verify the borrowing limits, whatever existence is, whatever is being shown, you can check from there. Then completeness, all borrowings have been accounted for in the books of the company on a timely basis. You obtain a schedule of short term and long term borrowings, and then you can check. Yeah,
हमें यही लिखने होंगे एग्जाम में.
हाँ, you can interlink and you can write in your own language also.
Okay.
For example, to audit PPE, we need to check its assertions right. So question is asked is how do you verify rights and obligations?
So we need for 5 marks. We have to disclose.
So you need to give how you will verify rights and obligation. Now, for assets, it has never been obligation. For asset, you need to showcase right part. है ना? For bill and for ownership part, you need to check.
Basically, जो assertions दिए हुए हैं, basically you have to write those only. Procedures given in the.
हाँ. Or for practice, you can use it. In the chapter, we are having, we have specifically given of the some items, like he is asking about rights and obligations for assets. So you can check whether procedure undertaken for verifying completeness of addition to PP during the period under audit, the auditor will performing testing of addition should also verify that all purchase invoices are in the name of the entity. As I already told you that it should pertain to me, not for my company. I cannot take Tanya's company. So you need to check. For all addition to land and building in particular, auditor should check the conveyance deed, sales deed to verify whether the entity means title, na, legal title, I already told you. Auditor should insist and verify the original title deed for all immovable property. Again, it is title deed. So you can just interlink it with specific asset, you can give required answer. So just do practice for one or two items or three items, you will be able to write in the examination. I hope I was able to cover it. Yeah. Okay, cover हो गया ना? Cover. इसके बाद कोई है? No. ठीक है. So this way we have like audit of item of financial statement. Don't be afraid of this topic. अगर आपको और भी specifically कोई item के लिए discuss करना है, तो we can discuss. So I hope Sachin, your query is resolved. And one more query was there.
And if there is a dispute between auditor and management, does auditor makes qualified?
If there is dispute, we cannot, on the basis of dispute, we cannot express opinion. Dispute cannot be deciding factor. For qualified opinion, you need to check whether you are having sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, whether those SAE means audit evidence are material but not pervasive. Then only you can give qualification. अगर किसी से झगड़ा हो गया, उससे opinion expression में वो नहीं आना चाहिए. ठीक है ना? वो झगड़ा किसी भी कारण से हो सकता है. So this dispute cannot decide what kind of opinion will be expressed. Yes. So now one more query generally student ask.
Yes, ma'am.
अच्छा, एक बात बताओ, जो ऑडिटर होता है, रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन कौन देता है? स्टूडेंट्स गिव मी आंसर. रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन कौन से एसए में कवर्ड है? फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन. सेकंड क्वेश्चन, रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन कौन देता है? ऑडिटर देता है, मैनेजमेंट देते हैं, दोस्त चार्ज विद गवर्नेंस देता है, कौन देता है?
मैनेजमेंट देता है.
मैंने आपको कहा था आप चैट में लिखोगी.
ओके मैम.
ओ, सबको पता है. गुड. सो प्रणवी, अभिषेक, सौरभ and Elandula Chandu, yeah, all have given correct answer that it is covered in SA 580 and it is given by the management, not by the auditor. क्या देते हैं वो management representation में? Regarding what it is being whether it is important to have management representation or management can say no, we will not give. Management or TCWG, that it has fulfilled its responsibilities, because financial statements बनाने की responsibility किसकी है? Auditor की है ना? Auditor ही देखेगा ना financial statements बने हैं या नहीं बने हैं. किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाना? मैनेजमेंट. राइट. तो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स मैनेजमेंट बनाता है एंड इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट प्रणवी? एंड रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड अगर वो मना करते हैं, इट मीन्स देर इज समथिंग, सम इंडिकेशन इज देयर. सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बट
क्या हम ऑडिट रिपोर्ट के बाद रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन ले सकते हैं? क्या इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस है कुछ? अगर ऑडिट रिपोर्ट के बाद
स्टूडेंट्स बताओ कि मैंने ऑडिट रिपोर्ट 15 अगस्त को दी और मैनेजमेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन मुझे 18 अगस्त को मिल रहा है, क्या ले सकता है? ठीक है, हिमांशु ने सही बताया, वीरेश, प्रणवी, राइट. बाकी लोग No, as near as possible, but before audit report. Right. ये किसने बोला? यस नहीं होगा. मैनेजमेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन हमेशा ऑडिट रिपोर्ट से पहले होगा, क्योंकि ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ मैनेजमेंट रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑडिटर express their opinion and issue their audit report. So management representation is very important, and it is because financial statements are prepared by management. So they need to give management representation, and on the basis of that, audit report is being issued. So after issuance of audit report, there is no relevance of management representation. So date of management representation should always be before the audit report date, right? Before audit report. So all are aware. Yeah. Now, one more question was there.
Yes. What is emphasis of matter paragraph, key audit matter paragraph, and other matters?
ये तो आपको बहुत आती है ना, ये क्वेरी तो बहुत आती है ना आजकल क्वेरी पे बच्चों को. तो क्या कोई चैट में लिखेगा? इसको हटाओ पहले. मुझे सबसे पहले तो ये जानना है कि 706 का नाम ही ईओएम एंड अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ है. ईओएम मींस एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ एंड अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ. तो मुझे ये जानना है कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस इन ईओएम एंड ओएम. कैन समवन टेल मी व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ एंड अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ? देखो मैंने ओपन भी कर दिया है. EOM contain financial matters and significance, and OM contain non-financial information. Good. EOM are matter of special importance that require users' attention. EOM contains matter related to financial statements. तो मैंने भी आपकी हेल्प के लिए ना डेफिनेशन ओपन कर दी थी, EOM और अदर मैटर, है ना. So emphasis of matter paragraph, आपने एकदम सही बताया कि emphasis of matter paragraph जो है वो ऑडिटर की रिपोर्ट में होता है. That refers to a matter appropriately disclosed in the financial statement that in auditor's judgment is of such importance that it is fundamental to users understanding of the financial statement. इसका मतलब जो ऑडिटर है उसको लगता है कि जो यूजर है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट के, जो यूजर्स हैं उनको इसे समझने के लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि उनको ये इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर की जाए, है ना. जैसे अर्थक्वेक आया और उसकी वजह से कुछ मेजर लॉस हो गया, तो वो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स के जो रीडर है उनको ये इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन पता होनी चाहिए. और ये चीज हमारी किस में कवर होती है? एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ में. ठीक है, अगर एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ हमने दिया है तो इसका मतलब क्या है? ऑडिटर अपनी रिपोर्ट को मॉडिफाई करेगा या नहीं करेगा? वीरेश आप सही बता रहे हो. नो, राइट. तो इसका मतलब ऑडिटर मॉडिफाई नहीं कर रहा है, लेकिन वो अपनी रिपोर्ट में उसने ये बता दिया कि ये फंडामेंटल इंफॉर्मेशन है जो यूजर के अटेंशन के लिए बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और उनको ये चीज पता होनी चाहिए. तो इसलिए एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ दिया जाता है ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में। नाउ व्हाट इज अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ? एक दो स्टूडेंट ने बिल्कुल सही बताया था कि वो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट इंडिकेट नहीं है, ठीक है। यहाँ अगर हम डेफिनेशन पढ़ते हैं तो अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ, अ पैराग्राफ इंक्लूडेड इन द ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट दैट रेफर्स टू अ मैटर other than those presented or disclosed in the financial statements that in auditor's judgment is relevant to users understanding of the audit, auditor's responsibility or the auditor's report। अब इसका क्या एग्जांपल है कि आपके जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं इस साल के मैंने ऑडिट किए और लास्ट ईयर तान्या मैडम ने ऑडिट किए थे, ठीक है। अब मैं इस साल की जब ऑडिट रिपोर्ट इश्यू कर रही हूं तो उसमें मैंने लिखा, क्या लिखा, अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ में इंडिकेट किया कि प्रीवियस ईयर के फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स वाज ऑडिटेड बाय तान्या मैडम और उन्होंने क्या ओपिनियन दे दी थी, अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन या मॉडिफाइड, वो मैंने आपको कहां पे दिखा दी, अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ में, ठीक है। एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर में तो मैंने जो फंडामेंटल इंफॉर्मेशन थी वो बता दी, जैसे अर्थक्वेक का, या वो मैंने एग्जांपल बता दिया। अदर मैटर में अब मैंने क्या बताया, it's not covered in financial statements, you see, it's not covered in financial statements, okay, it's not presented or disclosed in the financial statements, but it is important. So in other matter paragraph what I have shown that these financial statements were audited in the previous year by Tanya madam and she issued unmodified opinion on the basis of that, मतलब अदर मैटर से ये क्लियर हो गया कि इसके बेसिस पे हम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। ये हुआ हमारा एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ एंड अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ, ठीक है। अब क्या होता है, एक और डिफरेंस पूछते हैं बच्चे, वो क्या पूछते हैं,
वो पूछते हैं मैम इंटरनल ऑडिटर क्या होता है, ऑडिटर्स एक्सपर्ट क्या होता है, अनदर ऑडिटर क्या होता है।
मैटर की बात चल रही थी ना, तो तीन मैटर है हमारे पास, एक है एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर, एक है अदर मैटर, ये दोनों तो किस में कवर्ड है, ऐसे 706 में, ठीक है। एक और मैटर है वो है की ऑडिट मैटर, वो किस में कवर्ड है, 701 में, किसमें है, 701 में है ना, राइट। तो ऐसे 701 में आपको कैम दिया हुआ है, कैम में कौन से मैटर्स आते हैं, दोज मैटर that in the auditor's professional judgment were of most significance, sorry, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, इन द ऑडिट ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स ऑफ द करंट पीरियड and key audit matters are selected from matters communicated with TCWG, those charged with governance को हमने जितने सारे मैटर कम्युनिकेट किए हैं उनमें से कुछ मैटर बहुत 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 इंपॉर्टेंट है, मोस्ट सिग्निफिकेंट है, वो मैटर जाते हैं आपके की ऑडिट मैटर में। तो दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या है, की ऑडिट मैटर इज कवर्ड इन एसए 701, 701 किसके लिए है, लिस्टेड एंटिटीज के लिए, ठीक है। एसए 701 इज फॉर लिस्टेड एंटिटी, 706 आर के लिए। 706 में ईओएम पैराग्राफ दिया हुआ है, ईओएम पैराग्राफ में इंपॉर्टेंट चीज क्या है कि फंडामेंटल टू यूजर्स अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, और ये आपके कैम कहां से आ रहा है, मैटर्स सेलेक्टेड फ्रॉम द मैटर्स कम्युनिकेटेड विद टीसीडब्ल्यूजी, यानी दोस्त चार्ज विद गवर्नेंस को जो मैटर्स आपने कम्युनिकेट किए हैं उसमें से आपने मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट को कंपाइल किया और वो आपने की ऑडिट मैटर में कवर किया एज पर एसए 701। नाउ एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर एज पर एसए 706 जो फंडामेंटल अटेंशन के लिए है। दोनों में क्या रिलेशनशिप है, की ऑडिट मैटर भी फंडामेंटल है टू यूजर्स अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, मतलब उसके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, और की ऑडिट मैटर क्या प्रोवाइड करते हैं, एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन, किसको, जो यूजर्स है उनको एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहे हैं अबाउट द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट की which are to assist them in understanding the matters in the auditor's professional judgment were of most significance। ये क्या है, मोस्ट सिग्निफिकेंट, मतलब बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, एडिशनल मैटर्स है जो कि उनकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और अगर हम ईओएम की बात करें तो उसमें क्या लिखा है, देयर में बी मैटर दैट इज नॉट डिटरमाइंड टू बी अ की ऑडिट मैटर, वो की ऑडिट मैटर नहीं है एज पर 701, बट वो बहुत जरूरी है, which in the auditor's judgment is fundamental to users understanding of the financial statement। एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको बताया था ना, earthquake subsequent event जो है वो आपका example हो गया. I hope it is clear. Is it clear to all of you?
EOM is not substitute of 705, 701. Ma'am, Sachin is saying EOM is not a substitute of 705, 701 and going concern.
EOM is right for fundamental users attention ना, वो emphasis of matter paragraph. और other matter paragraph आपने ये बता दिया कि वो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट से रिलेटेड नहीं है, लेकिन वो ऑडिटर की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसलिए उसको अदर मैटर में कवर किया. की ऑडिट मैटर आपका 701 में कवर किया गया है. सेकंड, ये भी फंडामेंटल है यूजर की अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए, लेकिन इसमें एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन है ना. और मोस्ट सिग्निफिकेंस की ऑडिट मैटर, मोस्ट सिग्निफिकेंट, ठीक है ना. तो ये हमारा ईओएम और कैम और अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ हो गया. क्लियर है?
एनी डाउट?
हाँ, अब तक कोई डाउट है तो बताओ. है कोई डाउट? I hope you all have downloaded the mobile app, right? Because mobile app पे ही आपको mock test and everything. Yeah. Do we need to underline keywords while writing answer? अगर आपको लगता है keywords है तो उसको कर सकते हो अंडरलाइन, बट हाँ शॉर्ट फॉर्म यूज मत करना. आंसर जब आप दे रहे हो तो फ्लो चार्ट्स मत बनाना. आपको उसको पैरा फॉर्म में, बुलेट फॉर्म में लिखना है, फ्लो चार्ट्स नहीं बनाने हैं. ठीक है? क्या है?
Pranavi, what is this? What is your doubt?
उसके ऊपर है क्या? I have this doubt.
Okay.
Yeah. What matter not to be included when we express disclaimer of opinion in the auditor's report? What matters not to be included when we express disclaimer of opinion in the auditor's report? मतलब नहीं समझ पाई मैं. प्रणवी, एक बार अपना थोड़ा और एलेबोरेट कर सकते हो कौन से मैटर्स की आप बात कर रहे हो? क्योंकि डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन का मतलब ही यही हो गया कि आपको उससे रिलेटेड कोई भी सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस नहीं मिले हैं, तो उससे रिलेटेड आप अपनी ओपिनियन को मॉडिफाई नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप क्वालिफाइड या एडवर्स नहीं कर रहे हैं, सिंस यू हैव नॉट गॉट सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस, इसलिए आप डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन दे रहे हो. तो उसमें आपको डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन, जब आप ओपिनियन फ्रेम करोगे तो उससे रिलेटेड आप उसमें एक्सप्लेन करोगे कि कौन सी चीज है जो कि आपको नहीं मिली है. क्लियर है? हाँ, ठीक है. एनी अदर डाउट?
Is this difference of EOM and OM is available in study material?
डेफिनेशन से एक्सप्लेन हो जाता है, बट क्योंकि इस बार क्या हुआ कि हमने आपकी आस्क योर क्वेरी में जो क्वेरीज थी उनको भी कंपाइल किया हमने कि उसमें बच्चों को जनरली क्या डाउट होता है, उन डाउट्स को लेके ही हमने ये ओपिनियन वाला जो है वो पीपीटी में कवर किया था. otherwise it was not in our planning कि we will be covering that audit of opinion or CAM, other matter or EOM, but based on the queries which were asked in your through mobile app ask your query feature, we were able to assess that this kind of students are facing problem in this kind of conceptual clarity. So that is the reason we have noted, jot down all the points and we try to cover those. Yeah, assertion wala part, one of the student asked, so we covered in detail. But in that also, if you have any doubt, you can definitely ask. But in examination, every time there is a question from audit of various item of financial statement. So don't afraid. Today also we are on 30th August. We are having sufficient time if you will allocate 1 day or 2 day to this chapter, audit of item of financial statement. Yeah, that is the reason I have repeated, right? I have repeated whatever I have communicated in Hindi, I have repeated in English also, so that you can understand, right? So,
there is one query also which I received, that what is the difference between another auditor, auditor's expert or internal auditor? मतलब ऐसे 600 कब लगता है, 610 and 620?
So we are having 600 series, right? We are having series of 600, and what is that 600 series? We are in series 600. We are having, one second. Let me first you all must be aware now. In the previous session also I told you about the series that we are having engagement and quality control standards, right? And I told you what is the difference between SQC1, SA, SAE, SRE, and SRS, right? And how many standards are there? We are having 38 essays. And all those essays are covered in some series. Like essay 200 series is about general principles and responsibilities. Essay 300 is specifically talking about risk assessment and response to assess risk. So 600 talks about using work of others. For using work of others, we are having 3 essays: 600, 610 and 620. 600 is using the work of another auditor, right, Saurabh? Using the work of another auditor. Then in 610, we have using the work of internal auditor. Internal auditor is discussed. And in SS 620, because sometimes as an auditor also we are not expert in certain areas. Like if we talk about valuation of building, then we need to take the help of experts, maybe lawyer, maybe engineer. So we need to take the help of experts. So if we are using the work of expert, responsibility of auditor will never be less. Ultimate responsibility will be for audit report will be with the auditor only. So when we are using experts work, what are do's and don't? How when we are using the work of auditors expert, what kind of consideration we should take care. So all these points are covered in SS 600, 610 and 620. Now coming on the detail, one second. Let me take one example. Karuna and Tanya. Okay, Karuna Enterprise, Karuna and Tanya. Karuna is doing audit of a company and Tanya is doing audit of its subsidiary or its branch. So I am doing audit of A Limited. B Limited is my branch and Tanya is doing audit of B Limited. I am using work of, because I am holding company, I need to use the work of, I am principal auditor and she is branch auditor, right? So now for this, we will, which essay will be covered? Essay 600, right? Essay 600 will be covered using the work of another auditor. She is another auditor. So this is how they will audit. This detail is discussed in essay 600. Now I am talking about A Limited only. I am statutory auditor and Tanya is appointed as internal auditor. Internal auditor who did internal audits, right? She is internal auditor. I can use her work. For direct assistance also I can use her. Not for everything. Whether I can use it for everything? No. For certain restricted parts where significant judgments are required, right? There I cannot use her work. Otherwise, as a statutory auditor, I can use internal auditor's work also. So she is internal auditor, right? Now, I am statutory auditor and where I am going for audit, I want to check the valuation of building where some dispute is also there. Now I'll take help of Tanya. Tanya is engineer now. Okay? She is engineer. Okay. Or some dispute is there and I need to take advice for that particular dispute. She is an advocate, legal advisor, and now I'm taking her help. Right? She is auditor's expert. Now what if the company wherein I'm doing audit, A Limited hires Tanya for her opinion for building or for that legal advice, then I'll consider her as audit evidence under SA 500 because she is management's expert. Clear? So if she is management's expert, then it will be covered under audit evidence. So we need to check SA 500. Our answer should be based on SA 500. If she is hired by me, if I am contacting her for taking her for her expert opinion, S620 will be applicable. Yes, right. Okay. And if we both are auditor of A Limited and statutory auditor, and she is internal auditor, it may also happen she is not chartered accountant, but then I'm using her work. It means SS 610 using the work of internal auditor, right? If we both are auditor, I'm doing audit of A Limited, she is doing audit of B Limited, but relationship of A Limited and B Limited is principal and branch, means subsidiary and holding company. I am principal auditor, she is branch auditor, then SS 600 will be applicable. I hope it is clear. So when the situation is being asked for using the work of another auditor or using the work of internal auditor or using the work of auditor's expert, we need to check which particular standard is applicable, whether it is 600, 610 or 620, right? Now, before using the work, if she is an expert, I need to check whether she is competent, whether she is having proper degree, right? Competence, I need to check. And the opinion which she is expressing, what kind of audit evidence she have collected, whether she has checked with sufficient and appropriate information, the data which she have used are relevant. Okay, so before using her work, I need to check whether the opinion which she is giving me is based on the her competency and her assumptions are also correct. All those things I need to check, and then I will use her report, because I need to decide whether everything is in order. If it is not, then I cannot use her advice. Okay, because ultimately responsibility is with me. I need to be like, my responsibility will never be reduced. I can definitely indicate her name that I have used her work, but I cannot be escaped from my responsibility, right? May 24 exam, I mentioned clause
11 for Nidhi company reporting, wherein I mentioned all the 3 points as required. Was the marks not given just because my clause number was wrong?
It will never happen. No. If you have given wrong clause number, then also your marks will not be deducted. Definitely, if you write the correct clause number, you get
full marks.
You get good marks, because whenever when we talk, if we, on basis of some relevant clause number or relevant essay, if we talk, then definitely it impact and it add on the impression, right? But if you have given wrong also, then also it will not be. But yes, you please check whether you have given all other points correctly or not. First, you need to assess whether you have correctly mentioned or not, right? You check whether legal requirements which are given as per Caro 2020 for Nidhi company, whether all those 3 requirements you have covered or not. So just check once. Still, if you find any difficulty, you can talk to me. Pranavi, I already mentioned that you should never present your answer in form of flowcharts. You should always write either in paragraph or in pointers or in bullets, but don't give your answer in the form of flowcharts, right? Diagrammatic presentation is also not required, because it might confuse the evaluator who is checking your answer sheet, right? It may confuse, and the steps he might miss. So it's better you give in the bullets or paragraph only. Yeah, I did mention the key points, but not a detail. Achha, one more thing I want to tell you. In Caro 2020, how many clauses are there? कितने clauses हैं? हम divide कर सकते हैं उन clauses को? Can we divide? You want me to cover Caro clauses?
21.
21 clauses. Right. Saurav is right. So for 21 clauses, if we can divide in one day, we cover 5 clauses or 4 clauses. If the clauses are larger one, if in one clause there are too many sub points, we can cover 1 or 2 clause or 3 clause. So if we divide it into 5 days, it will not take more than 30 minutes. Trust me. Okay. So it will not take more than 30 minutes, and in one day you have covered 3 to 4 clauses, right? After reading, try to remember with the number also. Okay. And if you can write it, next day you can revise it and learn next 3 to 4 clauses or 5 clauses, because some of the clauses are very small also, not detailed ones. Okay. Next, third day, we have revised those 8 clauses which are covered in first and second day. First wala, it will take 5 minutes or 6 minutes maximum. Second day, again, it might take 10 to 12 minutes. And third day, you have learned remaining. So this way, you have covered the whole Caro 2020 in 5 days or maximum 6 days. But due to multiple revisions, you will be able to write the correct answer and required answer in the examination. Because sometimes what happens, we try to cover the whole Caro 2020 in one day, and then we revise when after 7 days, 10 days, or 15 days, we are not able to retain that. So sometimes we should segregate that part. Okay, but yeah, for audit of various item of financial statements, you make your flowchart for your revision. That these are 5 assertions, and for balance sheet we are having 6 assertions. Then you have compared it for some of the items, maybe for equity capital or for property, plant and equipment, land and building, or for trade payable. Some of the assertions you interlink it and you prepare your flowcharts, or maybe in day 2 or 3 assertions. So it may so happen that same type of question is being asked in the exam, and you can write the relevant points also. So this way you can segregate, because sometimes we feel pressure that this is so much bulk in how we are going to cover. So if we have allocated थोड़ा थोड़ा time दे दिया, थोड़ा थोड़ा उसको segregate कर दिया, तो उससे बहुत फर्क पड़ जाता है. Yeah. हाँ, एक आपको मॉक टेस्ट पेपर में और एक आरटीपी में. मॉक टेस्ट पेपर में क्या हुआ था, जो केस सिनेरियो 1 है उसमें 75 डेज लिख दिया था. ठीक है, मैंने पिछली बार जब एक्सप्लेन किया था उसको, तो मैंने बोल दिया था कि 90 डेज से ज्यादा जब एडवांसेस होते हैं ओवरड्यू, तो वो एनपीए होते हैं. तो मैंने करेक्टली बता दिया था, बट दैट इज not 75 days, it is 95 days, because then only it will be NPA. So please note that 90 days are deciding factor for NPAs, overdue. But of course, for central government, if it is overdue, then also it will not be considered as NPA, it will be considered as standard asset. But for income recognition purpose, we will consider it as NPA. Okay, and for state government, as per the norms, it will be. Okay, for central government only, this is the exceptional situation. One more correction we want to highlight is in RTP also, there was some, we have issued corrigendum also. Can you show that RTP also?
In this question of bank audit, question number 19 of RTP,
Wait. क्या हो गया? एक सेकंड. Corrected. ये ना, हाँ. ये पुराना है, नया कर. हाँ.
Instead of 40 minus 16, there should be 24. So in last
it was just
RTP,
calculation
mistake
figure was typographically wrong mentioned.
It was written over here also. 16 was written over here. So we have corrected it, and answer should be the same. Conclusion should be the same.
Conclusion will be same. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a type. 40 minus 16 should be 24, and by mistake it was written 16 over here. So we have corrected this in the web hosted.
Correct,
RTP, right.
Okay, so because you are going to appear after 12 days, so that is the reason we clarified over here also, so that you should note and you can accordingly, because nothing is there, you will correct only because we have mentioned wrong figures, but only like answer was same.
Right.
So you can interpret that yes, it was not wrong. So for printed edition, you may note and you can correct and practice accordingly, right? Any other queries, students? So one more very important thing which I want to mention you, when you have completed your answers in the examination, keep 10 to 15 minutes for your revision also, right? Because revision is very, very important. Sometimes when we are writing, we are in flow and we miss some of the part. When we revise, we come to know that yes, this should also be added. So for revision also, you should keep 5 to 10 minutes so that you can revise the whole answer sheet and accordingly you can add on if you need to. One more important thing, all new questions should start from new page only. Don't write in continuation. Develop a habit that new question should start from new page. Okay? Yeah, can you explain the 21 clauses of Caro 2020?
Try to.
We can try to cover. Let's see how much we are able to cover. Yeah. So you all are aware now for whom on which of the companies Caro is not applicable. Like small company, you all know, Section 8 company, you know, banking company, you know, insurance company, you know. So you are aware which of the companies are exempt for Caro reporting. So banking company, insurance company, company licensed to operated under Section 8, right? Then our one-person company, small company, and private company. For private company also, we are having specific conditions that for private company, paid up capital and reserve and surplus should not be more than 1 crore rupee as on the balance sheet date, and which does not have total borrowings exceeding 1 crore rupee from any bank or financial institution at any point of time during the financial year, and which does not have a total revenue as disclosed in the schedule 3, right? So when we are talking about Caro 2020, we are having 21 clauses, and for 21 clauses, our first clause is pertaining to property, plant and equipment. So you can note, you can prepare your chart that first one is pertaining to property, plant and equipment. And first A also, we are having two subparts. What is that? First is pertaining to record maintenance, right? Whether the company is maintaining proper records showing full particulars, including quantitative details and situation of property, plant and equipment. Means first clause is relating to property, plant and equipment. Okay? And second one is pertaining to inventory. So these two are big one also. In one, for first point, we are having two sub points. One is whether the company is maintaining proper records. So proper records कैसे होंगे? उसमें क्या क्या cover होना चाहिए for proper records? क्या क्या होना चाहिए? Full particulars including quantitative detail, कितनी quantity है, and situation of that property, plant and equipment. तो आपको पहला चीज हो गया, आपने proper record maintain करना है, right? First thing is maintaining proper record. Proper record means showing full particulars not only about quantitative detail but also about the situation of property, plant and equipment, right? 1B is whether the company is maintaining proper record showing full particular of intangible assets. So first one was about maintaining of records only, but in first A we were having two subparts, A and B. A is for property, plant and equipment and B is for intangible assets, right? But for intangible asset, only about it, proper record showing full particulars. But for property, plant and equipments, it is mentioned showing full particulars, including quantitative detail as well as situation of property, plant and equipment, right? 1B is whether these PPE have been physically verified. So first one was the records. Second one was physical verification. You can make your pointers. Physical verification. Physically verified by the management. कितने टाइम में 2-4 साल 6 साल 8 साल 10 साल नहीं, रीजनेबल इंटरवल, ठीक है. Whether any material discrepancy, अब आपने जाके उसका physical verification किया. When you are doing physical verification, what you will be noting? Whether any material discrepancy is there or not. So when you have noticed whether any material discrepancies were noticed on such verification, if so, अगर ऐसी है, whether the same have been properly dealt with in the books of accounts. अगर ऐसी कोई material discrepancy है, तो क्या वो हमने financial statements में, books of accounts में उसको properly deal किया है. तो first point जो था आपका था maintaining proper records showing full particulars. ठीक है. उसमें भी 2 सेग्रीगेट थे. फर्स्ट था प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट और सेकंड था इंटेंजिबल एसेट. जो सेकंड पार्ट आया 1 का बी पार्ट जो है वेदर पर्टेनिंग टू फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन. ठीक है. सो वेदर दीज प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट हैव बीन फिजिकली वेरीफाइड बाय द मैनेजमेंट एट रीजनेबल इंटरवल. ठीक है. एंड whether any material discrepancies were noticed on such verification, and if so, तो पहली चीज आपने फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन किया. सेकेंड पार्ट इज you have seen whether material discrepancies were noticed or not, and if it is noticed, then you need to check whether the same have been properly dealt with in the books of account. Then C part is whether the title deed of all the immovable property, title deed, first was physical proper records. Second was physical verification. Third one is title deed of all immovable properties other than properties where the company's lessee and lease agreement are duly executed in the favor of lessee, disclosed in the financial statements, are held in the name of the company. If not, provide the details thereof, and there is a prescribed format. Means you need to check that for all immovable property, whether that for land or building, if the title deed is in the name of company or not. If it is not, then you need to provide the detailed information. So here, which assertions we are checking? Title deed, rights and obligation, right? So you need to check. And if it is not in the name of company, then you need to give description of property, gross carrying value, held in the name of in whose name it is, whether promoter, director or relative of the employee, period held, indicate range where appropriate, and reason for not being held in the name of company, why it is not in the name of company. So this way we need to give the information. Then in D part we are having, so first was proper records, right? Maintaining proper records. Second one was physical verification, and third is regarding title deed of all immovable property. If it is not in the name of company, then you need to give the details. Fourth one is whether the company has revalued its property, plant and equipment. So after seeing records, physical verification, title deed, you will check whether it is revalued or not. Whether it's revalued, then or intangible property, plant and equipment, or intangible assets, or both during the year, and if so, whether the revaluation is based on the valuation by a registered valuer. So if revaluation is done, then who has done the valuation? Whether he is a registered valuer, and if the registered valuer is there, specify the amount of change, how much change they are telling, right? And if the change is more than 10%, 10% or more in aggregate of the net carrying value of each class of property, plant and equipment or intangible assets. So if it is more than 10%, then also you need to report. So fourth point is whether the revaluation is being done, revalued its property, plant and equipment as well as intangible assets. Okay, or both. If during the year revaluation is being done, then you need to check the revaluation is done by the registered valuer. If the registered valuer is done, specify the amount of change. If change is 10% or more. When you will specify 10% or more in the aggregate of net carrying value. Very important line, 10% or more in the aggregate of net carrying value of each class of property, plant and equipment or intangible assets. And last one is whether any proceeding have been initiated or are pending against the company for holding any Benami property under the Benami Act and rules made thereunder. If so, whether the company has appropriately disclosed the detail in its financial statements. It means if there is any proceeding initiated under the Benami Act or if it is pending, then also we need to appropriately disclose the details in its financial statements. So now you can make your own notes. You can prepare your chart that under paragraph 3 of Caro 2020 in clause 1, one में भी आपका A में 2 parts है. One is about maintaining proper records for property, plant and equipment, and for that you need to check whether it is showing full particulars, including quantitative details and situation of property, plant and equipment. Second one is whether the company is maintaining proper record showing full detail of intangible asset. Second one is about physical verification. If physical verification is done, material discrepancy is noticed. If it is, then how it is, whether it is properly dealt in the books of accounts. Third one is about title deed. If the title deed is not in the, it's for immovable property. For immovable property. If immovable property's title deed is not in the name of company, then they are required to provide details which are given in the Caro 2020. Fourth one is regarding revaluation. Revaluation, if it is being done in the year, then who has done, whether it is done by registered valuer, specify the amount of change, and then you need to check whether it is 10% or more of net carrying value for each class of property, plant and equipment or intangible asset. And last one is if any proceeding initiated or pending against the company for Benami property under the Benami transaction. So whether it is being appropriately disclosed in the details in the financial statement. So this way you can prepare your notes, right? And accordingly you can revise, and in the examination you will be able to write the required answer. In Caro 2020 question, whether we have to mention, it's only one para. Paragraph 3 of Caro 2020. As per clause 1, if it is regarding physical verification, as per clause 1b of paragraph 3 of Caro 2020, the auditor is required to report that whether, फिर आपका जो clause है, that you can cover. Okay? So this way you can cover in your answer. So not able to cover whole 21 because it will take more than maybe 2 hours. So that is the reason we have tried to cover clause 1, right? And in the same way, you can also try to learn and prepare your flowcharts or notes. So when you are going for examination, in the duration of 2 days, you will be able to revise the same. Now, time is indicating us to conclude. So just wanted to tell you, don't get panic. It's very easy subject. Think of the situation if you are an auditor, how you will deal with that situation, and accordingly you can give, accordingly you can answer. In each and every examination, there are mixture of the questions. Some questions are really difficult. Don't get panic. Don't lose your mental balance. Control your anxiety. Read the question twice and thrice, and definitely you will be able to understand the requirement. Choose the question which you know best, write complete and relevant and required answer, and keep 10 to 15 minutes for revision. If you are having writing practice, you will be able to manage the time. And writing practice, I have again and again requested, now also you can do for 2 to 3 days. You will be able to complete the paper. For MCQ and case scenario practice as much as you can with the help of this MTP, RTP or MCQ portal, right? Still, if you find any difficulty, you can get back to us on 0120-3045-925. Yeah, you can write sub answer also in a new page. Because what happened when you are revising, if you feel that yes, this should also be added, then you will not be having the required margin. आपके पास margin ही नहीं होगा, तो how you will be adding the answer? So you will not be able to modify. Try to write neat and clean answer. It should be readable, right? Legible. It should be. Sentence formation should be okay. Rather, it is in your own language, but still try to cover maximum technical terms. But you can write in your own language, okay? And with wholehearted support and with full confidence, do some meditation practice so that you can maintain your balance and you can write, okay? And so these are my some of the suggestions, okay? And now also you don't get panic and try to cover as much as you can, and keep yourself calm, do some exercise, sometime allocate to your hobbies also, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Don't take breaks with the with mobile phone. When you get time, don't try to indulge in WhatsApp, Instagram, or Reels. These Reels really waste our time. When we are addict to it, it really wastes our time, and it also impact our memory also. And all the required and relevant answers should be covered. Requirement of the question should be fulfilled in your answer. Still, if you have any doubt, you can write on Ask Her Query. You can call to us, right? And if you have any other, yeah, so with this, I think we have tried to cover each and everything. Still, if it is something is left out, you can contact us. And with this, our heartfelt wishes to you. Wish you all the very best. Do your best, and you'll get the best. All the best. And
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
this session, I'm CA Karuna Bhansali.
I am C. Tanya Gupta.
Okay, so we are there to help you and wish you all the very best.
All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hanji.
Yes.